Crimson Trace announces Laser Guard Pro for today's most popular concealed carry firearms, combining a red or green laser sight with 150 lumen light, taking personal defense to the next level. Available now at your local dealer.
Welcome to Tom Gresham's Gun Talk, where a right is always a right, not a privilege.
Back with you here. 866-TALK-GUN gets you in here. I'm Tom Gresham. By the way, be sure to check us out, guntalk.com. You can see all the things we're doing there. We have a zillion videos on our Facebook page. Look for Gun Talk Media. Also on YouTube, pretty much everywhere you can see videos, we're there. Roku, we have a channel there. Just look for Gun Talk. Check out our first-person defender series. Self-defense training, real-world training. With people who get surprised, they get attacked. You get to see how they react. It's always surprising. You never know what's going to be happening. It's a different time. The Democrats have taken control of the House, but more than that, in state house after state house, they have taken control. And they come in promising more gun control, more restrictions on lawful gun ownership. It's a time like we've not seen before. And yet we have something going on that's kind of interesting and a real change, which is a different makeup on the Supreme Court. Well, joining me to talk about all of that right now is Alan Gottlieb, the founder and the head guy at the Second Amendment Foundation and the Citizens Committee for the Right to Keep and Bear Arms. Alan, it's different. There's good news and bad news here, isn't there?
Yeah, it's going to be a really trying year for us and a very busy year for gun rights.
It is, and I fear we're going to have more losses in the states simply because, well, there are states where the Democrats, the gun ban party, has a total majority in the legislature, and they can and will do whatever they want. And there's simply, in some places, some ways, just no way to stop them.
Which leaves us the one option of going to the courts to have a lot of these laws overturned. And right now, the Second Amendment Foundation has 35 cases going on that we're involved in, and 2 more that we'll be filing in the next few weeks. So 37 by the end of this month for sure is an awful lot of caseload for us to be tackling, more so than we've ever done in our history.
Well, yeah, I mean, right up in your neighborhood there, Washington State just implemented this law banning the sale of semi-autos to anyone under 21. And we're talking about, they call it an assault weapon, but we're talking about a Ruger 1022, any 22 semi-auto, just across the board. Second Amendment Foundation challenging that right now?
Yes, we are in federal court on that. They basically defined a 22. I mean, I should say any semi-automatic rifle now is virtually designed under the state law as an assault weapon. It's the most broad, sweeping definition we've ever seen. And of course, they know there's a sensitivity to people on the assault weapon question. So, but people don't know what it means. And when you keep adding more and more guns to the so-called list of that are assault weapons, pretty soon every semi-automatic gets covered by it, and that's what we're facing.
Well, when they first came out with the assault weapon ban back in 1994, I said at the time, this is a phony term. Assault weapon means nothing, but that's by design, which means it is infinitely expandable, and they will try to get as many guns as possible in that, including every semi-auto. And there were people who said, oh, Tom, you're just being paranoid. Well, here we are. This is what's going on.
Well, I think Washington State proved you correct in your prophecy was 100% accurate, and that's what we're dealing with right now. So we're suing that one is one of our 35 cases currently filed.
Wow, that's a lot of cases. You have, but let's talk about on the federal level. Of course, we've getting a lot of federal judges from Trump, but we have 2 new justices on the Supreme Court, which we hope will make a difference because they have been essentially ignoring the Second Amendment and the Heller decision for a decade now. So as you look at this, where do you think we are? What's going to be happening?
Well, I'm hopefully optimistic that we're in a better position now than we've been in the past. And right now, the Second Amendment Foundation has 2 cases up for cert petitions before the U.S. Supreme Court. One is our Mance case out of Texas, the Fifth Circuit, striking the part of the 68 Gun Control Act that says you have to be a resident of the state you live in to be able to buy the handgun. You can't buy it across state lines, even though we now use the same NICS background check. We won that in federal court at the lower court level. The appeals court overturned us 2-1. It went en banc to the Fifth Circuit, where on a fractured decision they ruled against us 7-6, but not the 7 judges all ruled the same way. So that's up on appeal to the U.S. Supreme Court. We hope they take that case. We also, Tom, have another case known as Pena out of California. California has this crazy law that have a handgun roster, that if a handgun is not put on the roster by the state, it's not allowed to be sold or, in the state of California. And now they've added to it the microstamping provision that any new gun to be added to it has to have a microstamping capability. And they defined it in a way that nobody can comply with it, which means no new guns can be sold in California, even if they have better safety measures than old handguns. And older handguns are falling off the list because the manufacturer doesn't pay a fee every year to the state to keep the gun on the list. It falls off the list, and now it's no longer available in California. And so what's happening is that the available number of firearms in California keeps decreasing, and pretty soon, of course, what the state wants is to get down to 0 handguns. And so we have that case before the U.S. Supreme Court right now as well. Those are, again, 2 of the 35 current cases. And I'm really, really hopeful that the Supreme Court takes one or both of those cases in this session.
Well, now, under the Heller decision, Supreme Court decision in Heller, they said that you cannot ban guns which are in common use. That's the phrase, and that's one that has been bandied about. I know in Pena, the idea is that, these are guns in common use, but because of the use of the handgun roster, it is essentially a ban on them, is it not?
Well, you could say the example like, I think the Glock Gen 4 can't be sold in California, if I'm correct, and they're in common use in every other state, but you can't have them in California. Actually, Massachusetts, I think, is fairly similar, but they're in common use all over the place. The design is a common design, but in California, you can't buy one. So yeah, that's what we're challenging.
Yeah, I mean, basically, you can't buy any handgun that's been introduced in the last several years cannot be put on the list because it doesn't have microstamping, because microstamping doesn't exist.
Exactly. Well, let's take an example of a handgun that is on the roster, but the manufacturer decides to come out with a better safety device on the handgun and not make the old one anymore. Well, the old one isn't made anymore. You can't buy it in California. And the new one, because it can't be microstamped, can't be sold in California and can't go on the roster list. So as a result, they're effectively getting a ban, and any new gun with better safety features can't be sold in California.
So the list just gets shorter and shorter of guns which are approved, handguns which are approved to be sold in California, and inevitably, someplace you end up with 0. I mean, that's the logical, run out of this thing.
Well, over the last decade, the number of handguns to be sold that can legally be sold in California has fallen in more than half.
Oh, wow. More than half. Okay. All right. So you got in the other case, I want to just touch on Mance again. The idea there is that in 1968, we did not have electronic NICS background checks. And so they said, well, you can't buy a handgun out of state because they have to do their in-state check. Now it's all electronic. Now it's instantaneous. There's no practical reason for requiring or prohibiting somebody from Louisiana from buying a handgun in Texas because it's the same NICS background check done by the FBI. That's what's being challenged.
Correct. What's interesting here is that the government can't really make any kind of argument that there's a public interest for the government, for public safety, to be able to say you can't buy the handgun in another state when it's the exact same background check. And so, obviously technology has made that part of the 1968 Gun Control Act unconstitutional, because the bottom line here is that you have to take the least way of infringing on people's rights to enforce a law if there's a public interest, argument. And in this case, the government lost their public interest argument.
So, all right, so both of these cases have been appealed to the U.S. Supreme Court. Now you wait to see if they will grant cert on them to accept these cases. We've had 2 more conservative and definitely more favorable to the Second Amendment justices added to the court. Would you like to handicap this one for us? What do you think?
Well, let me handicap it this way. Let me first say for your listeners, it takes 4 of the 9 Supreme Court justices to accept the case to be heard. So you need at least 4 judges saying, okay, let's hear it. And basically, the logic is that, the 4 won't vote for it. They don't think they have the 5th judge to rule their way. But my argument now is that, I think there's 4 definite judges that would like to hear those cases. And I think the problem is they're worried about Chief Justice Roberts voting the right way. Well, I want them to put him on the hot seat, and I want them to take the case. And I think if Judge Roberts has to vote, he will vote the right way. He'd probably prefer not to have to vote at all. But I'm hoping the 4 judges say, sorry, Chief Justice, you're going to have to vote on this one.
And just as our last question, as we look in the crystal ball, what happens if Ruth Bader Ginsburg decides to retire for health reasons or anything else? At that point, things really change, wouldn't they? At
that point, things really, really, really change, and we'll have a Supreme Court, I believe, that will indeed make sure that the lower courts no longer thumb their nose at the Heller and McDonald rulings the Supreme Court has issued in the past. And for gun owners, that would be a really bright spot.
Absolutely. And I just want to throw this on out. If you have 37 cases going forward, it is very expensive to pursue those. Lawyers are expensive. And so I'm just going to encourage people, if you're thinking about what can I do for the Second Amendment, a donation to Second Amendment Foundation would not be out of line. That would be helpful.
It would be most helpful. To be honest, Tom, right now I'm sitting with $180,000 in bills from last year, from 2018, that I have to pay, in the next week or two before we can even file the 2 new ones we want to file. So, saf.org for people who'd like to go online and make a tax-deductible donation. It'd be much appreciated, and probably the best thing you can do to defend gun rights right now.
I agree completely. Alan Gottlieb, thank you so much, and I will be seeing you in Las Vegas at the SHOT Show.
You sure will, Tom. I look forward to it.
All right, take care, my friend. All right, 866-TALK-GUN. Now we're open lines. If you have a range report, a gun you want to tell me about, a type of shooting that you've been doing, what are you doing for training, or pretty much anything else, as I say, it's open lines. Now it's your time to shine. 866-TALK-GUN.
Are you looking for a place to shoot? The National Shooting Sports Foundation has a great website called wheretoshoot.org. It's the largest database of shooting ranges on the Internet. It's also a great resource for shooters where you can find video tips, printable targets, and a lot more. Find it online at wheretoshoot.org. And while you're there, download their free iPhone app. That's wheretoshoot.org.
This land, once wild and free, fades now from our memory. But I remember what it was like, what we were like, what we are capable of when we band together. Perhaps more than any other landscape, wetlands embody the life-giving abundance that nature has to offer. And perhaps more than any other organization, Ducks Unlimited is working to ensure that our continent's wetlands not only survive, but thrive for generations well beyond this one. These natural wonders are where waterfowl begin their cycle of life, where the deer and the antelope play, and where we, the people, gather together to see and share what makes the outdoors so great. The time is now to band together with organizations like Ducks Unlimited. The time is now to rescue our wetlands.
Hey, we were talking earlier about preparation. People watching that movie Bird Box, they're prepping, buying stuff, getting set up. Do you do any of that? Do you have food, water, supplies? I'm thinking, it occurred to me, I'm thinking, if you had like 50 of those little 1-pound propane gas things and a propane Coleman stove, you could at least cook, you could boil water on it. I don't know. And clearly, I have not thought about this a lot. Haven't really looked into it. I don't know what the best way to go about a lot of this stuff is. If you have any thoughts, suggestions, 866-TALK-GUN would certainly get you in there. Line 3, Neil is with us out of Stagecoach, Nevada. Neil, thanks for your patience. You've been on hold for a while.
Yeah, that's okay. I have an idea for the first responders when they arrive on the scene. And when you already got people that are in the mix with, firearms, if they're wearing some kind of a color code, we have a color-coded mental awareness. If the officers know, hey, that guy with a purple hat or a purple armband he's not a threat, now he's an asset that I can use, it would be a way to communicate the fact that then not have that person be shot. It
is an interesting idea, and people have talked about that. There's actually a guy that makes what they call DSM, the Don't Shoot Me ribbons. Kind of goes across your chest. You pull it out, it goes over your head. And interestingly enough, several of the federal agencies have encouraged him to not sell those, not offer any type of that to regular citizens. They want to be the only ones that are identifiable as Don't Shoot Me. Of course, I mean, there's people would say, well, the bad guys would get a hold of that, and they'll say, well, I'll go wear purple, I'll do that. None of it's perfect, but I like what you're thinking, and we have to do something.
But being from small-town USA, Stagecoach is right outside of Reno and Carson City. We're a small town, but we're a small county, Lyon County. If the Lyon County Sheriff's Department was working with the schools, it would be a thing that they decided on. And not let out to the public, only those people that they're training with. Okay.
That makes sense. Let me ask you, what do you do? What's your plan if you happen to get into a situation where you do have to pull your gun out and use it?
Well, I'm going to use my pistol to get to my rifle, then we're going to go take care of
it. Yeah, but, one of the things is that people don't generally like it when you're carrying your rifle around at the mall, so...
No, they don't. But you could be out in the vehicle if you're concerned with it and you're protecting your family or you're protecting other people. You're in it. You've got to do what you've got to do. You've already made a decision to carry the gun to protect yourself or protect your loved ones. Now, you can run, and that's always a good option. So you're not in the gunfight. But as time went on, if I let that happen, it would be I think it would hurt me emotionally somewhere down the line if I didn't step up and do the job.
Interesting. It's interesting you said, well, you're carrying a gun, you've already made a decision. Let me carry that one step forward. If you're carrying a gun, you've made a decision to carry a gun, but now you have to make the decision to use the gun. And what I do is I make that decision every morning when I put on my gun. And I literally say out loud, this is the day I'm going to need this. Not, this is the day I may need this. This is the day I'm going to need this. So I've already put it in my head, this is going to happen today. And what I hope that would buy me is a little bit shorter reaction time. I've already made the decision. I will not be surprised. Yeah, I knew this was coming. Let's do something, whether it's, run, whether it's fight, whatever it is. But just kind of a thought I picked up from one of the training schools I went to. They said, look, when you put it on in the morning, just say it out loud. Say, this is the day I'm going to need this. And then go from there. So back to your idea of, hey, you made the decision, now get on with it. I sure appreciate your call, Neil. Thank you, sir. I'm going to scoot down to Douglas in Pensacola, Florida on 4. Douglas, you're on Gun Talk.
Yes, sir. Thank you. I had 3 short questions or comments. Mm-hmm. I enjoyed that or appreciated that information about the CDC. If it's possible, it'd be nice to have a factoid list of those kind of things with the drill URL, so you could say in a conversation, well, here, this is actually what they're talking about, and this is not the numbers.
Yeah, I put that out all the time. If you follow me on Twitter, I am at Gun Talk. I am every day. I'm putting out that kind of information with the URLs, with the sources every day. Okay, well, that'd be nice to be able to have that as a go-to when you're having a conversation with somebody. My second question is the Ruger 77. It never seemed to really fly. How come? It didn't seem to be a real popular gun. They sold a zillion of them over the last 30 years. I don't know why you think it didn't fly. Well, I just don't see them at the gun range. I don't see them in the gun racks. I know it's been discontinued. Huh. Well, I think what happened is 77 at the gun range. Huh. That's interesting because I do, but yes, there are less expensive guns now. Of course, Ruger has the American out, which is half the price, and frankly shoots as well or better. It's an unbelievably good rifle for the money. And I think probably that's what's happened is you've got, I think probably people have, I mean, do you see anybody shooting Model 70s much anymore in terms of buying them? Probably not. They're buying less expensive synthetic guns. You know, that's, you're just not seeing people, for the most part. It's interesting. There's this, and let me throw this out to you. I think there's a middle ground, a gap where people don't want to play. They'll buy the $350 rifle that shoots well and it's a good value, or they'll jump up to the $1,500 rifle. But somewhere in that $600 to $900 range, it's kind of a no man's land. What do you think?
That's a very possibility. Either they want something that's price point, or they want something that's really, really nice.
Exactly. You know, I think that may be what is happening out there in the marketplace. Just an interesting observation.
My third question is you're familiar with the Marlin Papoose camp gun. Ruger came out with a similar gun that had the gender change for different magazines. To use different magazines, you just pop it in. Right. Like a 10 or whatever, for different manufacturers of magazines. Wouldn't that be nice if that was made, a gun like that, in 10 millimeter?
Wouldn't that? And that's all I'm allowed to say right now. So I'll just say, wouldn't that be nice? All right, thank you, sir. I appreciate that. There are things I cannot talk about. Oh, well. We can always wish, and we can always hint. So stuff happens out there. It's that time of year. This is better than Christmas in terms of having new guns brought out. But, yeah, that would be nice, exactly. I'm still kind of hankering for a really nice lever action. I just can't make up my mind. I can't figure it out. I was looking at maybe getting a 44 Magnum. Then I thought maybe 45 Colt. I kind of like the handgun idea for a lever action. I've got a 45-70. I've got a 30-30. But I don't have a lever action in a pistol caliber. Also, by the way, if you don't have one, if you've never shot one, you can't imagine how nice it is. A lever action in 22 rimfire. Just pure fun. What's it good for? That. Just having fun. Take it to the range. Introduce people to shooting with it. Just very cool. 866-TALK-GUN. We're open lines. Looking for your thoughts on pretty much anything ballistic.
This is Milo Lardbottom, Junior Under Assistant Deputy to the Assistant Director of Deputy Affairs for the Department of Homeland Security, with a special message for listeners of Tom Gresham's Gun Talk. We know who you are. We know where you are. You're right by your radio. We have special cameras that can see into your radio. I have a special monitor built into my aluminum foil helmet. We are watching you. So don't try anything funny, Buster.
Alrighty, and news from our 50th state. In Hawaii says that the Law Enforcement Officers Safety Act does not apply in the state. This is federal law. If you remember, LEOSA says that retired law enforcement officers can carry concealed in any state. Simple as that. There are a few other provisions, but that's basically it. Hawaii says, no. I know it's federal law, but we don't care. We're going to say that unless you are on official duty, you can't carry in Hawaii. We don't care what the federal law is. But wait, it gets even more interesting. Because even if you are on official duty in Hawaii, if you're there for more than 5 days, you must go register your gun as a law enforcement officer with the local law enforcement authority. So you're a cop, you're on duty, you're in Hawaii officially, but you have to go register your gun. And you cannot have a magazine that holds more than 10 rounds. So you can't have a full capacity magazine. You can't have a standard magazine in your gun. Hawaii, I think they've lost their minds. Crazy stuff. Rick is on line 2 out of Kansas. Hey, Rick, what's up?
Something to contact Washington, D.C. legislators trying to change their focus a little bit from the reactionary small issues such as changing our Constitution or the Second Amendment. By all means, call them and let them know that you're a Second Amendment supporter. But our country's broke, they can't be wasting our tax dollars fighting the small reactionary things that the media puts out. We wouldn't be shut down if we were not in debt. And if you call them once a week or once a month, certainly ask them what they've done to reduce our debt. The American public trying to reprioritize what they're there for, protecting our country and keeping it.
You know, I agree with you. And one of the interesting parts is that the Republicans run on fiscal responsibility, and then they get in there and spend money faster than the Democrats do. It's disheartening.
Both sides.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Appreciate your call, Rick. Thank you, sir. William's in Anchorage, Alaska on 3. William, everybody's talking about this movie, Bird Box. What do you think?
Well, I would like to see it, but listening to the earlier conversation, in the 60s, Cold War period, a man wrote a book called Alas, Babylon, and it was written by a man by the name of Pat Frank. And it's basically America's under a nuclear attack, and people in Florida are cut off. They were protected from nuclear fallout because of the trade winds. They had all kinds of big guns, but they needed the 22s, fish hooks, small caliber stuff, because they'd lived there for over a year before they ever found out what had gone on in the rest of the world.
I guess we lost him. I apologize for that, but we'll have to come back in just a second. Tell you what, 866-TALK-GUN. We'll be right back.
Built for personal and home protection, the Smith & Wesson M&P 380 Shield EZ pistol features an easy-to-load magazine with load assist button, an easy-to-rack slide, and the M2.0 crisp trigger and enhanced grip texture. With its easy-to-rack, easy-to-pack, and easy-to-shoot design, the M&P 380 Shield EZ is perfectly sized 380 protection. Find out more at smith-wesson.com.
Want great deals on guns, ammunition, and gear? Download the free Gundealio app today. With Gundealio, you can search for deals, listen to the Gun Talk podcast, watch gun videos, read gun news, and get notifications right to your phone about deals and special offers. Save money on the products you want from the companies you love. New deals, discounts, and rebates added daily. Gundealio, available for free in the App Store and Google Play.
You got your carry permit, and that's good. But you know you could use more training. Get the DVDs, which have what you need. Springfield Armory presents Concealed Carry 1 and Concealed Carry 2 with Bata Group. Learn specific concealed carry skills from Top Gun fighting trainers. Get trained. Be prepared. This really is life and death. ShopGunTalk.com. That's ShopGunTalk.com.
Laser sights increase confidence, regardless of experience level. Whether you're learning the fundamentals, a seasoned shooter, or simply overcoming aging eyes, laser sights provide instant feedback, providing immediate confidence and enjoyment for a new shooter. Call 800-442-2406 or visit crimsontrace.com for a free copy of our laser training video, The Laser's Edge, and learn more about why Crimson Trace is making laser sights standard equipment.
A few weeks ago, we had Congressman Blaine Luetkemeyer from Missouri, 3rd District in Missouri, on the show. We were talking about Operation Choke Point. Well, on the opening day of the 116th Congress last week, Congressman Luetkemeyer reintroduced the Financial Institution Customer Protection Act. Basically, it is the killing off Operation Choke Point. For those who may not remember or don't even know, Operation Choke Point was an Obama-era program where they sicked the federal regulators on banks and said, you know, if you banks do business with certain businesses, we may just have to come audit you. We may have to look at you pretty hard. We may have to sick the regulatory dogs on you. And those businesses were payday loans, pornography, oh yes, and firearms. All, by the way, legal. And they said, but we don't like those businesses. We want to drive them out of business. No one passed a law. We just decided on the regulatory side, we're just going to do this. And if you continue to do business with these people, we're going to come in and hammer your institution. Well, if you're running a bank, if you're running a big financial institution, you look at that and go, I'm not going to subject us to that. We're out. We're going to, and so they call gun stores and holster makers and stock makers. And they said, we're canceling your accounts. You got 30 days to move them somewhere because we're out. Well, he's coming back in, Representative Lukemeyer is coming back in and saying, we have to have a law that says you can't do that. So that's a great thing. I'm really glad to see that. All right, line one, Larry's with us out of Idaho. Hello, Larry, you're on Gun Talk.
Hi, Tom.
Hello.
Welcome from lovely Lenore, Idaho.
Where is Lenore, Idaho?
Okay, here we go. It's east of Lewiston, west of Orofino.
Got it. I understand. Okay, I'm down in the Cascade area right now.
The rest is classified information, sir.
That's right. The reason I'm here is because I don't want people to find me, by golly.
Exactly. Actually, I'm on the Lewis and Clark Trail. That's Highway 12.
Oh, cool. Oh, that's cool. Okay, so what's up? What's on your mind?
I was telling Michelle, correct? Is that her name?
Yes, Michelle. Yeah.
The call taker. I thought up a new acronym for AR.
Okay.
Anarchist Repeller.
Well, that will work. I always liked America's Rifle.
That's good. I called a couple of my shooting buddies up, and they chuckled pretty good, and so did Michelle.
Yep, I think that's a good one. I like that one. And I understand you also have a range report for us.
Yes, I do. Kind of a belated one, but I bought one of those Smith & Wesson SD9 VEs.
Mm-hmm.
That was early summer of 17. Shot it. Really liked it. I bought another one 2 weeks later.
That's kind of their price point pistol, and people look at it and go, yeah, you know, it's a lot less expensive. And I look at it and go, yeah, but have you shot it? Because I will tell you, I don't know what they did, but there's something about that pistol when you pick it up, it feels good even before you shoot it, don't you think?
Yes, and not only that, but that's the first striker fired I ever bought in center fire. Uh-huh. And I put them all in the block at, 21 feet?
Yeah. You know. It just works. It's inexpensive. It just works. It feels good in your hands. Why not? So cool. I appreciate that. Look, thank you for your call. I have actually our own little range report. A friend of ours here, because they listened to the radio show, they kept hearing me talking about the Smith & Wesson Shield EZ, the 380. They went out and bought one, went out and shot it yesterday. I said, well, what'd you think? And they said, you're right. It's just, there's no recoil. It just works. Of course, the slide's easy to work. Now, to be fair, they also have 9mm shields, and I think they're looking at getting a 45 and something else. But they just were intrigued by the 380, and they shot it and said, yeah, it's like a no-recoil self-defense gun. And I would think it'd be absolutely fine for two-legged predators with the right ammo, the good ammo that we have today in 380s. It's just something, you can't believe how good it is. I know you hear me say that. Let me put it in real numbers. When you shoot the modern 380 ammo into ballistic gelatin, you will get penetration that is within an inch as deep, generally speaking, as 9mm. Well, what else do you want? It's good enough. And, sometimes good enough is just fine if you want something that's lighter weight, that has less recoil, that you can shoot a bunch. Now, the flip side of that, and I would make the argument that we have small 9s now, and 9mm ammo is so inexpensive, practice ammo that is, that you can go out and practice a whole bunch. So as much as I like 380s, and they have certain applications, especially when you get down small like an LCP, in most other sizes, I'm kind of favoring the 9s just because you can buy so much ammo for, so inexpensively. Let's see. Herman's with us out of Mansfield, Louisiana on 2. Hello, Herman. Welcome to Gun Talk.
Hi, Tom. How are you doing?
I am well.
Actually, I'm trying to get somebody to talk me out of trading my 938 for a SIG 365, or at least trying to talk me out of spending the extra money.
Well, 938 is now. You already have a 938, right?
I've had yes, sir, and I love the little pistol.
It's a sweetheart of a little pistol, and what it is a miniature 1911. I mean, fair enough?
Yes, sir.
Okay. The P365 is kind of the same size-ish. What you're going to get is 10 plus 1 carrying capacity with a 12-round magazine also. You can get that. You're going to get night sights that come with it. It's a very shootable pistol. But the 938 is such a sweetheart, it's kind of hard to make an argument that you should go to the 365 over that unless you just look at it and go, I really seriously do want more rounds on my carry gun. That would be kind of the overriding concern. It'd be getting more ammo. So what's your thinking? What's leading you to look at that?
Well, it just... I've just been reading up on it about the the striker fired versus versus safety, hammer. And the safety and hammer don't bother me. It really doesn't. Okay. But if I can't get it done in 7 or 8 rounds, it's not going to get done.
Well, maybe the problem with that is that what that tells me is that you already have in your mind how this fight's going to go, and you don't know how it's going to go. You may need 20 rounds to finish the fight. It may be one of those sucky days when nothing you do works, or there's more than one of them. I know what you're saying. That people say, well, the average gunfight is X. It's 2 shots, it's 3 shots, it's whatever it is. Except that your fight may not be the average one, and I would really seriously hate to run out of ammo in the middle of a gunfight.
Okay.
So
you're basically leaving it up to me.
Well, I like this. Folks in the studio are saying, well, this is easy. You get the P365, and then you make the 935 your backup gun. Or the 938, I'm sorry. Okay. Make the 938 your backup gun. I like that. Well,
you're going to cost me money.
I'm going to tell you to buy both of them. You knew that when you called, didn't you?
I just got to figure out a way to hide it from my wife.
Well, hey, you know what? There are things I can help you with, and then there are things I'm smart enough to stay away from. And I'm not going to help you hide that gun from your wife.
Well, I appreciate it.
All right.
I appreciate the help.
You take care. All right. Be good. Oh, my goodness. Tell you what, Jerry, don't go anywhere. We're going to get to you. We do have a little bit of time on the backside of this. We have room for you if you'd like to join us, 866-TALK-GUN. That's funny. How am I going to hide it from my wife? How many times have I heard that one? Well, you know what you do. You buy her own gun. Or, better yet, you know the drill, right? You say, okay, honey, you get to pick out your gun. We're each going to get us a new gun. Make sure you get her out shooting as often as possible. It's just, not only is it a good, sensible thing to do, it's just pure fun. And so, why wouldn't you? So, okay, bottom line, I'm a real fan of the 9s. I got a lot of 45s. I got a few 40s. I kind of settle on the 9 for my self-defense. I like the idea of more ammo in my carry gun. And, by the way, always carry a backup magazine. Always. Because you never know when you're going to need it. And if you need it more than anything in the world. With the 866-TALK-GUN, or just dial Tom Talk Gun. If we can't get you in now, we'll get you into the podcast. And if you haven't checked out our podcast, which is the after show, the whole show actually becomes a podcast, but the after show is not broadcast. You don't hear it. off your station. It's just extra, or if you stay down in Louisiana, it's lagniappe. Yeah, you can get that off of the Gun Dealio smartphone app. You can listen there, as well as through any other way you can get podcasts. Jerry's on line 3 out of Reno. Jerry, what's on your mind there?
Yeah, hello, Tom. I've been listening to you ever since you first got on this radio station out of Reno, and I've got a red dot. I had put on my 22 because my eyesight is going a little bad. I'm 78 years old, and it worked good to start with, and then I sighted the thing in, and it worked really good. I really liked it. Then I took it out about a week ago. I wanted to go rabbit hunting, and it was a bright day, and I couldn't find the dot.
Yeah, you know, I'm going to make a suggestion, okay? And I know it's a spending money deal, but sometimes that's the solution to these. A couple of companies that are making really good red dot sights. SIG, the gun and ammo company, also is really into optics now. They've got good red dot sights. And Crimson Trace, who of course has been known forever as a laser company, they've gotten into the electronic sights. And they're newer design and different technology. I think either of those would work well for you, a Crimson Trace or a SIG electronic sight. I would encourage you to try to find one of those. Go to a store, try some of them, turn them on, and see what you think. You know,
well,
it happens.
But if it's not dark enough or light enough in the store, you know, the thing looks good. I had this one runs
let me jump in because I'm really short on time. Ask them if you can take it outside. Just take it outside and look at it outside. Any store is going to let you do that. I'm pretty sure. Leave your driver's license. Do whatever you got to do, but take it outside and see how it works for you. I apologize. I've got to keep this thing moving here. Ken's on line 4, Medford, Oregon. Ken, you got about a minute. Lever action. Talk to me.
Hey, I've been shooting cowboy action since '92. And I've tried Winchesters, I've tried Marlins, I've tried Rossies, I've tried Ubertis, and all of the Italian remanufactured, redone ones. And the best one that I've ever shot is a Henry. And
that's interesting.
You can't go wrong with a Henry. The Henry big boy, I shoot 44. And I shoot 44 mag and also shoot 44 special in the same gun. And they are amazing. Right out of the box. And I have a 22, which is amazing.
Well, I was going to say, and the other thing is, Henry is making lever actions in a whole bunch of configurations and a whole lot of different calibers.
Yes. And they've gone to the big bores, they've gone to all of the others, but their pistol caliber lever actions out of the box are the best I've ever seen. And the other thing that I wanted to give you a heads up on is the other caller that was there just a little bit ago. It's easier, and it's for me personally with my wife, to ask forgiveness than to ask permission.
Yes, I'm familiar with that one, as are most husbands. So, yeah, I get that. Just ask forgiveness rather than permission. There you go. It's a done deal. It's already out there. Thank you for the call. I appreciate that, Ken. Yeah, our number is 866-TALK-GUN. Give me a call now, and you can be a part of the after show where you never know where we're going to go. It kind of... eventually, it always goes off the rails. Sometimes sooner than other times, but we sure have a lot of fun. So, boys, don't go anywhere. We're going to get you in there, and we have room for you if you'd like to join us. In the meantime, go out and do a little shooting. Make a commitment also to join your state gun rights group. That's where the action is, and they need your help. Also, just be safe. Watch that muzzle, and be really careful at those public ranges. Take care now.